Welcome back to the deep dive. Tonight, we're taking, well, a mountain of information, specifically the goddamn terrifying lore of Vault 92 from Fallout 3, and we're going to distill it down, make it soothing, manageable knowledge.
That's the plan. We're diving into a really dark story,
Yeah.
Music, madness, mind control. It's heavy stuff.
Definitely.
But we've really tried to structure this one differently. A gentler pace, maybe a bit more thoughtful, perfect if you're listening late at night, trying to wind down.
Exactly. Our mission tonight is to unpack the whole tragedy of the quote-unquote music vault. We're tracing it right from the start, the construction back in 2062.
Through the horrific experiment, the White Noise Mine Suggestion Combat Experiment, that WNMSCE acronym.
Right, and then its collapse, and finally what you actually find there in the game, those flooded ruins in 2277.
And this one is really for the learner. If you want that full picture, the terminal entries, the audio logs, all of it, but maybe without the usual frantic pace.
Then you're in the right place. Settle in, maybe grab something warm to drink. We're aiming to make even horrifying Vault-Tec history feel, well, approachable.
Before we really get into the thick of it, though, we did have a couple of fan questions.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We heard from Arsenic Touch, who was basically asking at the residents what happened to them.
And, well, the short version. Essentially, yeah. The plan was to use these white noise generators, maybe create super soldiers, but it went catastrophically wrong.
So everyone just went completely apeshit.
That's pretty much the gist of it, yeah. They turned on each other. Classic Vault-Tec, really, but with this awful twist targeting musicians.
The cruelty is just so specific. And that leads into the common Stu's point. Were they really all accomplished musicians?
They were, and that's critical. It wasn't random. That was the entire goddamn point.
Vault-Tec needed subjects whose lives revolved around sound.
Exactly. People with incredibly precise auditory systems. Their greatest skill was, unfortunately, their greatest vulnerability to this kind of manipulation. Modulated, ultra-low frequency sound. It targeted them specifically.
Just awful. And hey, quick note for everyone listening long-term. This dive into Vault 92 is just the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're planning eventually to cover every single main vault in Fallout 3, Vault 87, 106, 108, 112, all of them. It's a big project.
A glorious, irradiated rabbit hole.
You know it? But
Yeah.
today is all about Vault 92 and the sound of mines breaking.
Let's start at the start then. Section 1, the Overture of Deception, Vault 92's cover story.
So where and when did this whole bloody symphony actually kick off?
It was fairly early in the grand scheme of vault construction. They started building in May 2062.
Okay.
And it took a while, about 6 years. Finished up in May 2068. The plan was standard enough on the surface, house 245 people, seal them up for 100 years.
Right, the usual vault duration and the tech specs power-wise. Pretty standard too.
Yep. General Atomics, nuclear reactor for power, controlled by a Brainpower 7 computer system. Nothing too unusual there.
But the equipment inside, that's where it gets weird, right? That's the hint.
Absolutely. The official story, the PR spin, was all very noble. Preserving musical talent through the Great War.
A safe haven for the arts.
Exactly. So Vault-Tec kitted it out with just tons of non-standard gear. High-end sound equipment, professional recording setups, all sorts of classical instruments. It looked like a musician's paradise.
And the people they invited, they weren't just random folks who could play a bit.
No. Vault-Tec specifically targeted, and this was their term, the world's best musicians.
Because they needed subjects with those highly developed auditory skills, which, looking back, is just dripping with evil intent.
It really is. And, it seems like whoever was naming the residents had a bit of a dark sense of humor, or maybe just cynicism.
You mean the real-world references?
Yeah. The final overseer, Richard Rubin, that's clearly a nod to the producer, Rick Rubin.
And Zoe Hammerstein.
Oscar Hammerstein II, yeah. And Gordy Sumner.
Sting's real name.
Right. So these weren't just random names. They represented serious creative talent, people deeply attuned to sound, the perfect targets.
It just makes the whole thing feel even more tragic, more personal.
It does, and we even get these little glimpses, these fragments in the logs of normal life before it all went wrong.
Like the romance. Hilda Egelbrecht, the violinist.
And Parker Livingston, the recording supervisor. Yeah, you read about them. This little pocket of genuine connection, art, maybe even love.
Right before their entire world and the vault itself just completely disintegrated into structural failure and, well, psychological shift.
It provides that necessary contrast, doesn't it? Makes
Yeah.
the horror land harder. You have something specific to mourn.
Definitely. So location-wise, where is this place in the Capital Wasteland?
It's tucked away northwest of Old Olney, Deathclaw Central over there.
Fun place.
Yeah, not exactly prime real estate. It's near Oasis and the Republic of Dave on the map. Seems like it maybe avoided the worst of the direct bombing, but the ground itself wasn't stable.
Okay, so the stage is set, the musicians are locked inside, unsuspecting. When does the other shoe drop? When does the real experiment begin?
Right. Let's get into Section 2, Vault-Tec's secret opus, the WNMSCE experiment. The real reason Vault 92 existed.
If the cover was preserving music, what was the classified, deeply messed up mission?
The official designation, found deep in the Vault-Tec files, was Confidential Plan WNMSCE. That stands for White Noise Mind Suggestion Combat Experimentation.
White noise mind suggestion combat experimentation. Okay, not subtle.
Not at all. This wasn't about therapy or mood enhancement. This was purely military application.
They weren't just trying to suggest things, were they? They were aiming for actual mind-controlled super soldiers.
That was the explicit goal, taking these incredibly talented, sensitive individuals and attempting to overwrite their personalities, turning them into controllable, aggressive assets. It's chilling.
How did they plan to do it? What was the mechanism?
The core idea was testing if they could implant combat suggestions using specifically modulated ultra-low frequency white noise.
Modulated ultra-low frequency white noise. Okay, let's break that down. Why ultra-low frequency?
Okay, so ultra-low frequency sound, also called infrasound, is below the normal range of human hearing. We're talking below 20 hertz.
So you can't actually hear it.
Generally, no, not consciously. And that's the key. It makes the suggestion subliminal. You don't hear a voice telling you to do something, you just feel the effects. Or rather, your brain processes it unconsciously.
So it bypasses your conscious defenses. It's like a physical thing almost, rather than just sound.
In a way, yes. Infrasound is known to cause physical vibrations in the body, especially in the inner ear, the vestibular system that controls balance.
Ah, okay. So for a musician who needs perfect timing, perfect motor control,
being constantly bombarded by this invisible balance disrupting frequency would be absolutely crippling. Even before you factor in the mind suggestion part, it's an assault on their very being.
and overseer Richard Rubin, this ambitious guy, he didn't waste any time, did he?
Nope. Vault seals on October 23rd, 2077, and he initiates the plan immediately. And the scary part, initially, it kind of worked.
How so?
The first tests were limited, kept to isolated sound booths, and the musicians, they had no idea what was really happening.
They didn't notice the noise itself.
Not consciously. Their logs mention things like occasional odd pitch or minor discrepancies in recordings. They thought it was faulty equipment, maybe electrical interference.
Wow. And Professor Malleus, the scientist actually running the technical side.
John Malleus, yeah. Initially, he seems to have been kept in the dark about Rubin's full intentions, the combat angle. He was focused on the tech.
So he saw the early results as a success.
His team did. They ran larger tests and found about a third, 33% of subjects, would enter this trance-like state.
A trance?
Yeah, and while in that state, they could implant simple suggestions, little programmed intotics or responses. And Malleus noted it had almost 100% effectiveness when they were in that trance.
Okay, so the basic principle, WNMSCE, it was proven viable. The tech worked.
It worked. But this is the exact moment Rubin goes from being maybe an ethically dubious scientist to an outright monster.
Because he didn't stop there. He escalated things, right? Secretly?
Massively. Without Malleus's knowledge or approval, Rubin decided to accelerate the program. He made two huge, fatal changes.
Okay, what were they?
First, he had the white noise emitters wired into the main loudspeaker system throughout the entire vault, not just the test booths.
So even in the practice rooms, the studios that were meant to be soundproof?
Everywhere. The noise, the subliminal signal, was now ambient, inescapable during their waking working hours.
Jesus. Okay, what was the second change? That sounds bad enough.
The second step was ensuring absolute total saturation. Rubin banned personal music players, headphones, anything the residents might use to block out ambient sound.
No escape.
And then the real kicker, he had the white noise piped directly into the living quarters, the dormitories.
So they were getting hit with it even when they slept.
24/7 exposure, continuous low-level combat suggestion-infused infrasound, no respite, no recovery period for their brains.
That's not an experiment anymore. That's just torture. Psychological warfare against his own people.
Exactly. You can almost imagine this constant, unnerving, subaudible hum vibrating through the very walls of the place. It's a horrible thought.
Which inevitably leads us to Section 3, cacophony and collapse.
Yeah.
Because that success was never going to last, was it? The human mind just can't take that.
Not even close. The breakdown was quick, violent, and utterly catastrophic. The first major incident involved one specific musician, designated subject V920-717.
What happened?
Under the constant pressure of the WNMSCE, he just snapped, went into what the logs describe as a bloody rage, and murdered 3 other dwellers.
Oh, God.
And the security report is, well, it's telling. They needed 23 gunshot wounds to finally bring him down.
23. Seriously, what does that even mean?
It means the WNMSCE wasn't just making people angry, it was inadvertently fulfilling the super soldier requirement in the most horrific way possible.
How?
It suggests the combination of the white noise and the implanted combat suggestions triggered some kind of extreme adrenaline state, maybe massive pain suppression. He became incredibly strong, incredibly tenacious, almost unstoppable. A berserker.
Turned a violinist into Jason Voorhees.
Essentially, yeah. And Rubin's reaction to this horror, that's what really seals his villainy.
He didn't see it as a failure.
He saw the deaths as negligible collateral damage. He actually viewed the subject's impossible strength and resistance to damage as proof the project was working, that it was important.
That is just peak bureaucratic evil. The human cost means nothing next to the data point.
Absolutely chilling. Thankfully, this finally got Professor Malice's full attention. He wasn't a monster. He was a scientist seeing his work twisted.
He realized something was fundamentally wrong.
He demanded an autopsy on the subject, started questioning why someone with no history of violence would suddenly explode like that. He suspected the white noise, but didn't yet know the full extent of Rubin's escalation.
He's trying to apply reason to a situation driven by pure ego. And the logs show the underlying cause was just neurological breakdown, right?
Yes. The constant infrasound exposure was causing direct physical changes in the brain.
What kind of symptoms?
The logs list chronic dizziness, severe nausea, a gradual loss of higher cognitive functions, thinking, reasoning, and then loss of fine motor control.
Which for a musician.
Devastating. Imagine being a world-class pianist and suddenly your hands won't obey you, you feel sick and dizzy just standing up. The weapon destroyed their art before it destroyed their minds.
And eventually it led to full psychosis.
Right. And we see that decay documented so heartbreakingly in Zoe Hammerstein's terminal entries.
The composer descended.
Yeah. Her logs start coherent, then they just dissolve. The language breaks down, mirroring her mind breaking down. That famous entry.
Tilky Plas, HF Poo, help me meet.
Yeah. It's like the sound of a consciousness shattering, recorded digitally. Just awful.
And while all this psychological horror is unfolding, the vault itself is literally falling apart.
Yes. It's like a perfect storm of failure. Vault 92 was built in a terrible spot near underground water sources. Bad geology.
So it was leaking?
Badly. The engineering logs are full of panic reports about corrosion, leaks, actual stress fractures appearing in the concrete walls, especially down in the lower levels near the reactor.
They knew it was a problem.
They were screaming about it. One log warns they'll be knee-deep in nasty groundwater, or worse if they don't fix it, which of course they didn't. Vault-Tec, or at least Rubin, was too focused on the mind control.
And that water problem is what eventually lets the Mirrorlurks in, right?
Exactly. It's perfect environmental storytelling. The physical structure failing alongside the psychological structure. The nasty groundwater becomes the Mirrorlurk habitat later on.
But before the Mirrorlurks, the human problem got much, much worse.
Exponentially worse. Within just 1 month of that first incident, the logs report 12 more violent outbreaks. 7 more people killed.
How are they dying?
Horribly. The logs mention people being torn limb from limb, often by former friends or colleagues, mid-sentence sometimes, just sudden explosive violence.
Jesus. How many people were affected by this point?
Malleus estimated about 30% of the population, roughly 70 people, were clinically insane. And the total death toll had climbed to 35.
And Malleus wanted out.
He pleaded with Rubin, said the experiment was a catastrophic failure, they had to abandon the vault, open the door, save who they could. But Rubin...
He was too far gone, obsessed.
Completely, he refused. And instead of admitting failure, he doubled down. He tried one last desperate measure to regain control.
What was that?
He implemented a command phrase, piped through the white noise system, but supposedly only receivable or usable by the security guards.
A verbal trigger.
Yeah. The phrase was, Sanity is not statistical.
Sanity is not statistical. Where's that from?
It's a direct quote from George Orwell's 1984. A really dark, philosophical piece of crap to use as a control mechanism.
What was it supposed to do?
The idea was it would instantly pacify or control the crazies, as Rubin called them. A magic word to restore order.
Did it work?
Not a chance. It was far too late. The neurological damage was too severe, the violence too widespread. The command phrase was completely ineffective.
So Rubin's last gambit failed. The vault is tearing itself apart, physically and mentally. What does he do?
He refuses to accept reality and decides the problem isn't the experiment, it's the person questioning it.
He goes after Malleus.
He ordered his security forces to assassinate Professor Malleus to silence the only voice of reason left.
Unbelievable. Okay,
Yeah.
so this takes us into the final act, section 4. The final bloody notes and aftermath.
Right. This is where it shifts from just random violence to pockets of organized resistance and the final tragic confrontations.
Because some people fought back against the insane ones.
Yeah, the evidence you find in the vault later suggests that. You see makeshift barricades, rigged shotguns pointing down corridors, frag mines placed strategically.
So some dwellers armed themselves, tried to create safe zones.
Exactly. Small groups trying to survive the onslaught from their former friends and neighbors. A desperate, futile last stand, really.
But the main narrative thread still follows Malleus, right? Even as Rubin is trying to have him killed.
Yes. Because just before the end, Malleus finally learned the absolute truth.
How?
From a dying security guard, probably one who was part of the assassination attempt but got wounded. The guard confessed everything.
Confess what specifically?
That Rubin hadn't just escalated the power of the white noise, he'd ordered it piped everywhere, directly into the dormitories.
The 200-247 exposure. Malleus didn't know about that part.
Apparently not the full extent, not that it was deliberately piped into sleeping quarters. He finally understood it wasn't just negligence or an experiment gone wrong. Rubin had intentionally saturated the entire population constantly without controls, ensuring this descent into madness.
So Malleus realized Rubin wasn't just incompetent, he was the architect of the whole disaster.
Yes, he saw Rubin as completely insane himself, a criminal responsible for dozens of deaths and the loss of sanity for scores more.
And what did Malleus do?
His final log entry indicates he decided to confront the overseer directly, to hold him accountable for his crimes.
And the logs cut off there.
They do, but the implication is clear. Malleus went to face Rubin, likely leading to a final violent confrontation that marked the true end of functional society within Vault 92.
Wow. Just silence after that, until the lone wanderer shows up.
Exactly. Fast forward 200 years to 2277. You, the player, arrive. And the vault is, well, it's seen better days.
What's the state of it?
The lack of maintenance and those original structural flaws, they took their toll. The flooding the engineers warned about, it happened. Big time.
So the lower levels are underwater.
Completely submerged. The reactor room, connecting tunnels, it's all flooded.
And the residents, any ghouls, survivors?
No original dwellers, living or ghoulified, which is interesting. The upper levels, the drier parts, you'll find bloat flies, maybe some feral ghouls drifted in, but nothing from the original population.
But the lower levels,
Huh.
that's where the Mirelurks moved in.
Yep. Thanks to the flooding creating a perfect habitat, you've got regular Mirelurks, hunters, even Mirelurk kings down there in the dark, watery sections. They're the new inhabitants.
So all that's left of the original tragedy are ghosts and records.
Pretty much. Scattered skeletons, maybe still wearing vault jumpsuits, lootable containers, and the computer terminals and audio logs. Names you read about: John Adiglio, Carl Maynard, Dr. Benison, they're just echoes now attached to bones or text files.
A very grim archaeological dig. And the main reason most players even go there is for a quest, right?
Yeah, the wonderful quest Agatha song. You're sent there by Agatha, this lovely old woman living out in the wastes, to find a unique violin for her.
The Soil Stradivarius.
That's the one. It's the quest that directly links the player back to the Vault's musical past, letting one tiny piece of that lost culture escape the horror.
A rare moment of hope connected to such a dark place. Okay, let's shift to the practicalities for a player exploring this nightmare. Section 5. The loot, the layout, and the quiet ending.
Right, because even in the darkest corners of the wasteland, there's usually some good loot to be found.
How's the layout? Easy to get lost.
It's fairly logical, actually. Follows the function. You enter, you've got the overseer's office and the living quarters nearby. Deeper in is the sound testing area, where the music stuff happened. And then downwards from there leads to the flooded reactor room.
Makes sense. And the rewards for braving the Mirrorlurks and the general creepiness. What are the highlights?
Well, the biggest one, obviously, is the soil Stradivarius, usually found in the sound testing area, maybe on a desk in the recording studio.
Soil Stradivarius.
Hmm.
The name itself is interesting, like the music is tainted by the earth, the failure of the vault.
Exactly. It's not just Agatha's violin, it's the soil Stradivarius. Great bit of naming.
Well, that was worth grabbing.
It's actually pretty good for utility items. There are 2 stealth boys hidden away.
Ooh, nice. Where?
One's in the overseer's office, kind of tucked away. The other is deeper in the sound testing section. Always useful.
Definitely. Any skill books?
Yes, quite a few, actually. Fits the theme of knowledgeable residents. You can find pre-war books, plus specific skill boosters like duck and cover.
For explosives, right?
Yep. And tales of a Junktown jerky vendor for barter, usually near the old commissary area.
Okay.
And maybe the most thematically relevant one, Nikola Tesla and you.
Energy weapons. Where's that?
It's in the studio control room in the sound testing area.
Nikola Tesla and you
Oh.
in the sound control room. That feels deliberate. Linking the experimental sound tech back to Tesla's, high energy experiments.
I think so too. It subtly reinforces that feeling that they were messing with some seriously advanced, maybe dangerous acoustic science, even before the mind control aspect.
Cool detail. Any other notable loot?
Yeah.
Like for the collectors?
Well, for the real completionists, there is a Nuka-Cola Quantum.
Always got to find the quantum. Where's this one?
It's down the stairs in the main living quarters area, just sitting on a desk. A little radioactive pick-me-up after dealing with killer musicians and giant crabs.
Okay. Speaking of the giant crabs, let's talk about the Mirrorlurks. There's that awesome terminal trick, right? The noise flush.
Oh yeah, this is one of the most satisfying little secrets in the game, I think.
What is it? How does it work?
In the living quarters section, there's a specific computer terminal. If you've been thorough, if you've read all the entries on the overseer's terminal back in his office,
You get a password.
you get the password, and that password unlocks an option on the living quarters terminal called Noise Flush.
Noise flush. Does he use the white noise system?
It reactivates it, but this time, instead of driving people mad, activating it instantly kills all the Mirrorlurks in that specific living quarters zone.
No way. Just wipes him out.
Instantly. Poof. Gone. You don't get any XP for them, but the sheer satisfaction.
Oh man, using the very weapon that destroyed the vault to clean out the monsters that took it over, that's fucking brilliant.
It's perfect poetic justice, probably the only good thing the WNMSCE system ever achieved.
That's amazing.
Hmm.
Okay, so beyond the loot and the tricks, the main story comes from the audio logs.
Primarily, yes. Professor Malleus's audio logs, specifically, there are 6 of them, V92-1 through V92-06.
And they tell the whole story.
They chronicle the entire descent, starting with him thinking the tech is working, showing promise, then growing concern, then dawning horror, and finally his realization of Reuben's full treachery. You hear his calm, scientific voice slowly grasp the catastrophe.
Gives you the narrative backbone as you explore the ruins.
Exactly. And just one last little nerdy detail, a behind-the-scenes thing.
Go for it.
There's a weird texture glitch in Fallout, New Vegas, on the exterior door model for Vault 22.
With a plant vault.
Yeah. For a split second, the texture file apparently shows the number 92 instead of 22, which is a leftover asset reused incorrectly.
Huh. So even in another game, Vault 92's cursed legacy pops up where it shouldn't.
Seems like it. Just a little technical ghost.
Okay, well that brings us pretty much to the end. Time for the outro, the synthesis.
Ah.
So, Vault 92.
Uh,
It wasn't just another failed Vault-Tec experiment, was it? It feels uniquely awful.
I think it was a perfect storm, really. A convergence of terrible factors.
Like what?
You had Overseer Reuben's massive, unchecked ego driving the cruelty. You had the technological hubris of the WNMSCE itself, a weapon too effective, too uncontrollable once unleashed.
Right.
And then just basic structural incompetence, building the damn thing in a leaky spot, ensuring it would flood eventually anyway.
Put it all together.
And you get this unique, musician-killing, mind-breaking shit show. A complete multi-layered failure.
And for that final provocative thought, something for you listeners to maybe ponder as you, hopefully, drift off after this relaxing dive into horror. Let's go back to that command phrase.
Sanity is not statistical.
Yeah, from Orwell. If sanity isn't statistical, if it can't be measured or categorized like Reuben implies, what was he really measuring?
That's the chilling question, isn't it? The initial goal was controlled aggression, super soldiers. But the result was uncontrollable, hyper-violent rage. Remember subject V92-717 taking 23 bullets.
Yeah, almost unkillable.
So, maybe that was the point. If sanity doesn't matter, maybe Rubin or Vault-Tec higher-ups were actually testing how effectively the white noise could strip away everything but the aggression.
Just peel back the layers of humanity, cognition, art, leaving only this raw, pain-resistant, maybe even controllable brute.
Was the uncontrollable violence actually the desired outcome? Proof that you could reduce a thinking person to a combat-ready husk? That's the heavy philosophical crap maybe worth mulling over.
Did Vault-Tec see the loss of humanity not as a side effect, but as the primary success criteria, reducing people to disposable, obedient weapons?
It puts a whole other spin on their experiments, doesn't it?
It really does. Well, on that cheerful note, thank you for joining us on this surprisingly detailed and, we hope, genuinely restful deep dive into the white noise nightmare.
You now know pretty much everything there is to know about Vault 92. The music, the madness, the Mirelurks.
We will be back soon with more Fallout 3 Vault explorations, tackling another corner of that irradiated nightmare.
Right.
But for tonight, drift off, relax, maybe don't listen to any strange static, and know you're fully briefed on the music that killed.
Sleepwalk.